This episode of Important If True is brought to you by Quip. Electric toothbrushes mailed to your home with brush head refills every 3 months. And if you go to tryquip.com/thumbs, you can get $10 off your first brush head refill. That's tryquip.com/thumbs.
I'm going to record me.
You guys ready with your tidbits and squeezes or whatever it was you said, Nick?
Tidbits and squeezes. Oh, excuse me.
Ah, excuse you. That was just my squeeze. That was just my tidbits and squeezes, bits. My bits. Jake doesn't like tidbits and squeezes. Heffalumps and woozles.
Don't desire them.
Too bad, it's what you're about to get.
Spicy bits.
Give me your bits. Squeeze them out. New one.
It's a
1080
new
now.
one. You ready for a new one? A new one of bits and squeezes?
Oh, fuck. No one asked for this.
Well, it's what we deserve.
It's November 16th, 2017.
And this is... What? What is it? I don't know. God, I have never fucked that up.
Oh,
weird.
Well, I don't know about that.
Let's just say my hit rate is
Nick, just for your edification. It's November 16th, 2017.
And this is Important If True.
For Idle Thumbs, I am Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
I've never fucked this up before.
God, fuck you.
Oh,
Who are you?
I'm Jake Rodkin.
Oh, hi. Hi, Jake Rodkin.
Oh, hi.
Hey, now we can really start the show.
Oh, yeah.
Which we've never fucked up before.
So how's it going, everyone?
It's all right. It's going fine. Do you guys want to do an email right off the bat here?
Yeah, sure.
Launch straight into an email?
Let's take a swing.
Unless anyone's got an icebreaker.
Because this ice was broken long ago, Chris.
It's true. We broke it. Justin.
We're drowning.
Justin writes in, since I was a teenager, the number 314 has haunted me. I see it everywhere. I see it on signs. I see it on license plates. And I see it a disproportionate amount of time when I look at a clock. This all started in high school when I would come home from school and walk into the front door at exactly 3:14 p.m. every day. I found it amusing at the time, but unfortunately there was a terrible side effect. Seeing the same number almost every day tricked my brain into noticing it more, obvious confirmation bias, or so I thought. I started to see it in more and more one-off cases, most notably when I borrowed A Brief History of Time from the library. The only time the book had ever been borrowed before was once in 1992 on March 14th. 314 is also a letter replacement for CAD, C-A-D, a type of software I use every day. I have a math degree, and the first few digits of pi are 3.14. This next encounter I desperately wish I made up as an elaborate ruse, but as I was considering drafting this email, the Idle Thumbs video game podcast had just finished playing during my commute hours, and I soon realized in horror the next episode of Idle Thumbs to be recorded will be episode 314.
Jesus.
And so I come to you. I need help breaking this curse. I am at a loss. This has gone on for over 20 years of my life, and I don't know what to do.
Okay.
Come back when it's haunted. It's 314 years of your life. Then I'll really have some sympathy here. Help me, Important If True. You are my only hope. And then one day later, Justin also writes, look at this. It happened again. 314. And he has a receipt from a diner or something.
I thought it was a Taco Bell. I don't know why I thought that. I just assume everything's a Taco Bell. Why did I think it was a Taco Bell? To me, everything's a Taco Bell. Oh, my God. Yeah. Why did I think that? Weird. What's wrong with me?
No, it looks like the diner it's like Jesse Carnitas or something.
Chris, in my inbox, it was a Taco Bell. I'm sure of it.
In Nantucket, Connecticut?
Yeah.
Anyway, his receipt number was 314, except, I should note, there is a pipe character between the 3-1 and the 4.
Yes.
I don't know if that matters.
This email is incredible to me because I started to try and look into this, and it's the most bulletproof of all possible versions of this. Like at first I was like, oh, all right, we'll just talk about confirmation bias. God, the email in fact refers to confirmation bias. And then I started looking. So what I started looking at was does anyone else think that the number 314
That specific number?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Well, I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, because like 314 is the first 3 digits of pi, or like whatever.
Oh. I just...
Come on, Chris. For the record, Chris pointed in horror at the studio clock that is frozen at 3:14. Forgetting that earlier Nick had said, I will stop the clock at 3:14.
Sorry. Well.
Part of me wants to just get this to 3 minutes and 14 seconds and just stop it and have it locked there for the entire episode.
That's actually a funny idea.
Very good. Very good.
Hoisted.
Oh, fucking hoisted. Fuck.
Hoisted the most literal way, given that moments ago we verbally agreed to stop the timer at 3:14.
God, what was that?
Oh, okay. I remember everything now. It's all come back to me.
I know everything.
So I looked up other people who feel like 314 has followed them around. And I found a few. One person on their blog writes, after reading Freud's interpretation of the uncanny, it instantly reminded me one very uncanny element in my life, the number 314. For as long as I can remember, it's followed me around. I remember one day looking at a receipt from Taco Bell that said I was order 314 at 314 for how much? $3.14.
Oh, man. That's pretty good.
This person also claims that on March 14th, someone in their family is like gets married or dies or has a baby or whatever. But I also found this person and one other person that I found make oblique references to Stephen Hawking.
What?
Which is
okay.
Because this person talks about
A Brief History of Time.
they talk
by
about
Stephen Hawking.
they checked out A Brief History of Time, and the
Yeah.
only other person to check it out on 314. So there's a blog entry called "Just What Is 314," and this person doesn't tell me, but they say, if you know me well enough, you know I'm obsessed with the number 314. I've been asked countless times the significance of it of this number, but they talk about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and how in that book they claim that the answer to the question of what is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything is 42.
Yep.
And then this person points out that 3 times 14 is 42. The part of this the part of this blog, God, this blog is terrible, but it just made me feel like we're just scratching the surface of some great mystery.
It's a deep dive into this shit.
This person just straight up says, Stephen Hawking has produced several hypotheses about the number, but no one can seem to understand what he's talking about. A young reporter from Cambridge University once interviewed Hawking and asked, Mr. Hawking, is it true that only 3 people in the world understand the number 314? Hawking paused a moment and replied, I'm trying to think of who the third one is. He was, of course, referring to me as the second person. What? So
What the fuck off?
I know. I hate that I feel like there's just these tiny corners of the internet that in combination with this email are basically trolling us in a way that I can't perceive.
The actual phenomenon here is not that certain people see 314 in nature or that 314 is predominant in nature. It's that certain people believe they are special because of observing or understanding the number 314.
Are you in Club 314?
Yeah.
I also just tried looking.
Well, this way I think we know the third person now. It's Justin.
Yeah, it's Justin.
It's Stephen Hawking, that reporter, and Justin.
Yeah. It's not a reporter. It's not a reporter. It's a blogger.
Oh,
Chris.
it's a blogger. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Wow. Ow, man. Some serious shade from Jake.
Yeah,
there.
I don't know what you're talking about with this. With some sort of journalist? No, this is a blogger, my friend. I then just started looking up a couple other numbers, and I found some people who were talking about. I see 312 everywhere, and then I was like, 266. What is the significance of 266? It's everywhere, but 314 had more than a lot of the other numbers that I looked up. I only found 1 or 2 threads about most numbers, but 314 had like 3 or 4 people at least. And I was I was wondering if maybe. So here's my theory about this.
Yeah.
If you take the numbers 3 and 4 and add them up, it's a 7. And if you put a 1 in front of that, it's 17, which is the number of hours behind that your ghost is following you as determined by important if true. So I think that all of these people are being sent psychic messages from their 17.5-hour ghost echo that we talked about like 3 weeks ago. I'm pretty sure that's what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what this reminded me of? And I don't know that it's connected in any way, but it reminded me of Benford's Law. Are you guys familiar with this?
I am not.
This is
it's a one-sentence law. The number 314 is significant.
I think it's Benford's Law. It is. It's Benford's Law. This is a strange quirk of, I guess, just the way that humans use numbers and the results that has. And it's used to detect financial fraud. And essentially, Benford's Law states that numbers, like digits, 0 through 9, or 1 through 9, I guess, and because of the specifics of what the law means. 1 through 9 are not equally likely to show up as the leading digit of just numbers. Like a common thing people will do when they're fabricating financial documents is they will assume that any given digit is equally likely to appear, which is intuitive. That's what you'd think, right? I mean, numbers are just in all the different calculations that can happen. Just in anything. If you're fabricating a document trying to create a paper trail, you would assume that if you're making up a number, you'd want it to be purely random or something pretty close to it in order to not appear that you're putting your thumb on the scale. But in fact, weirdly, the digits 1 through 9 are decreasingly likely to be the leading digit of just
anything.
Numerical data.
Yeah.
In just sets of numerical data. Yeah. So 1 is considerably more likely than 2 to be the leading data, which is somewhat more likely than 3, and so on all the way to 9. And so this was like scratching in the back of my head, so I looked it up and I was really hoping that when I saw this, the most likely numbers would be in order 3, 1, 4. They are not. It just goes in the order of 1 to 9.
And I mean, it depends on the person, though. If you're Justin,
Justin's law
is 314 is what every number is forever.
I actually want to see. Justin, what you should start doing is, I mean, you have a math degree, so this should be pretty easy for you. Just start recording all numbers that you encounter in your life in a spreadsheet, and then do a statistical analysis and plot the frequency of digits similarly to Benford's Law. And surely that will not cause you any more additional problems in terms of obsessing over these numbers and focusing all of your mental energy on this issue. But I would be curious to get a follow-up on that.
Even just like a 1 week sample.
Yeah, like a 1 week sample.
Just give us
just limit it to 1 week. This is not in any way related to the 314 thing, but when I was a kid, I had a copy of A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. I had an uncle who was an astrophysicist, or still is, I suppose, and
discredited.
And I remember, I don't know.
He started talking about weird numbers, and they were like,
314 to me.
I don't really remember if that was the reason I was really interested in space. I think a lot of kids are just really interested in space.
Kids love space.
Yeah, and
scary.
I had a copy of that book that either we got used from the library or was given to us or something, because it was definitely well worn. And I remember, like,
page 314 was especially.
Yeah, I don't even know if that book was 314 pages long. It was actually fairly short. It was a slim volume, I remember. But
it's brief.
Yeah, it is brief. I wonder if this is a common experience, but I remember having that book and sort of, I owned it long enough as a child that I sort of over time, I think unintentionally convinced myself that I had read and understood it. Like I remember going years into my adolescence with just this sort of unquestioned.
Oh, where you're like, Brief History of Time, yes.
Yeah, I've read that. Like, whatever the fuck that means. Like,
right.
Because I remember as an adult going back and my parents were like, hey, we're going to throw away just all your stuff. Just go take what you want that we're not going to get rid of. Mm-hmm. And I remember just being like, oh yeah, these are the books I had. I remember these. And going through that one None of this shit makes any sense. I'm sure it's really interesting, but I was like, there is 0% chance that 8-year-old me understood any, fucking 3.14% of this. And it's just one of those weird, like, self-conception things that went totally unchallenged in my brain for years and then just hit a brick wall, a decade or two later. When I realized I was obviously even more of an idiot than one would assume.
Well, books felt more powerful, like in that era. I find like I remember. Oh God!
Do you mean in that era of history or that era of your of a person's life?
Sort of, of existence. Just sort of like, I mean, I guess the internet probably existed then, but it's still like we didn't have like Wikipedia or anything where you could like rapidly look anything up. Like I remember when I was in like middle school, they pulled some kids out. No, it wasn't middle school. It was like 4th or 5th grade. And they said, okay, you kids, like you've sort of, you're ahead of the curve or whatever. There's a challenge. There's like a statewide challenge. We want you to go into the library and there will be no adult supervision. You get to just, to have like 2 hours out of every day. But this week, you need to design a combustion engine from scratch and using only the knowledge located in this library. And we went in the library, and I remember it was like 6 people, like 6 kids. It felt like a boardroom meeting, but for like 4th graders. Right. And we were just staring at each other, thinking like, what the hell? Like, I guess we'll look at the encyclopedia and start with E. And then like very quickly we realized there was no way we were going to ever break through to figuring out how to design an engine.
Okay, so you were going to look up engine?
Well, I don't know what we thought we were going to do, but basically what we did was sit in a room for like several days. But I remember thinking like, oh, we're getting close.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like I had that feeling of
Wait, you were in the library for days?
Yeah, well, like every day, like for multiple hours.
I hope they locked you in there.
Come out with an engine.
They did basically. The doors were closed.
We just really need an engine.
Yeah, they needed to know, and we felt. I remember that feeling of like,
kids won't be missed.
Right? You are all special students who are ahead of the curve. We really need this engine.
What was the point of this exactly?
It was some like statewide challenge or competition. I don't even know.
The state of Michigan really needs an engine.
Yeah, right. Of all states, we're the one that don't know how to make a car. Anyway.
Man, I remember American manufacturing, it's really fallen. Just American auto industry, not what it was.
These kids have all just learned how to read. They could do this for free. We could just get them to do it. The knowledge has to be in one of these books. Make these kids find it and tell us what they learned.
God, and I remember the
Japanese
last day,
school kids are way ahead of the curve on this shit.
I remember the last day we knew we had fucked up and had nothing. Like we literally had just absolutely nothing.
Sweating about this.
Oh no, I was nervous. The other kids didn't give a shit. And I remember like people started. There was just a rack, like one of those racks that you could turn with books like as on a display.
Those are all just like shitty detective novels.
No,
There's
it was Clifford. It was all Clifford books. I remember we just sat around like reading Clifford and laughing about it, and that was what we did. And then we went back into the room and said we don't know, and
and they
so stupid.
Failed.
Yeah, we.
And
just
they
failed.
said F.
Yeah. Anyway.
You were looking up E, but you should have been looking up F.
For flunk.
Yeah.
Man, what a strange thing. Did other kids from other schools, like in the state,
I don't know. I would be curious to know. I'm
was
sure.
Just one guy in Nick's school who had to make an engine for some reason was like, yeah, there's a statewide competition.
Man, what an interesting, weird...
Meanwhile, in another school, kids literally emerged out of the library having built a fully functional combustion engine that ran on books.
Yeah.
Like, this is problematic for other reasons.
You just feed it books.
You just feed it.
Burn all the books.
They say knowledge is power. Says like the shitty Steve Jobs who emerges out of that library with a combustion engine that uses books as fuel. I give you the future of American industry. No. I'm sorry. You also get an F but on principle.
Yeah.
That kid was expelled from the school and then came back years later to become its principal. Sorry, just a really bad Steve Jobs joke there.
Oh my God, I didn't track that at all.
Oh yeah, it took me a minute, but
what were you actually going to say, Jake? Sorry.
Oh, a complete change of subject. Which when you were talking about how people detect forgeries and this law about numbers, and I had no idea what it was. I thought that you were going to propose. I was hoping actually that you would be taking us into some sort of research about numbers that people just lean to or find naturally pleasing, because when thinking about 314 and looking for numbers that follow you around and sort of just humans gravitating towards certain numbers, it reminded me that I don't think about this as much now because of cell phones. I don't think about phone numbers very much. But there used to just be, like, just phone numbers were a working thing that you just had to have in your head all the time.
I used to know so many phone numbers. In fact, there are people, my friends from high school, whose phone numbers I remember, and I don't know my wife's fucking phone number.
That's true. I'm like one digit away from finally having my wife's phone number. I've got a couple that are transposed. But there were always phone numbers that just had a more or less pleasing cadence or sound to them.
Agree.
And to the point like where sometimes you would hear a phone number that someone was saying and your brain would like fill in the remaining couple of digits based on sort of the rhythm that you would predict it would be, and then it was or wasn't that, and it was either very satisfying or very disappointing. And I wonder, I don't think any of us know about this, and I didn't even try to look it up before we recorded, but if there's any actual rhyme or reason to that beyond literal rhyme or literal patterns, like whatever, 7662323 or like whatever. That's obviously like there's just literal repetition in there, but sometimes it's not that. Sometimes there would be phone numbers that just have a really good feel to them numerically, and I didn't ever know if there was anything to it, and I was hoping you were about to be like, well, there is this pattern, but instead, no, there was just some boring real math.
There may still be, but that's a different thing. Man, I have lived in 3 different zip codes across 3 cities and 2 states, like 2 different coasts of the United States, that have the exact same 5 digits in the zip code in different order.
For a while, I had 2 different cell phone numbers that ended in 3358, which I think was just someone at a phone store when I changed carriers decided to try and be friendly and do that, but it wasn't actually helpful because none of the rest of the number was the same. And then my street address was 3358 for a while, and that really confused people.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But that stopped when I threw that identity away. And
when you threw that phone into the ocean.
When I threw that phone into the ocean, so satisfying, and started my new life as a podcast host. I kept the same name and social security number and credit history and stuff, but like those 4 numbers are behind me now. Oh, no.
I actually, because we pulled that stupid timer gag, I have no idea how long we've been recording this podcast, and I have no idea if it's time to take a break or not. This 314 has really wrecked
Well, it's 3:14 into this podcast. I think it's time to take a break.
All right, let's take a break. Bits, tidbits, and squeezes. Important if true.
You are what you eat. Who brought us this podcast, I wonder? He asks himself alone. What?
I'm here, Jake.
Oh, hi, Chris. Wow. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just me, your 17-hour ghost.
I was just off in another space where there's no ads.
Well, in this space, this podcast is brought to you by Quip. Electric toothbrushes sent to your home with brush head refills every 3 months. They're very well designed. They're compact. They're very, very simple and elegant. It is like the most minimalist, stripped down version of an electric toothbrush you could ever want or need. It's perfect.
It sounds very elegant to me.
It is elegant. I would call it elegant. I probably did already.
This is a sort of like a disruptive business model for toothbrushes. Like it disrupts something. I guess it disrupts the contents of your mouth and leaves them clean.
Yeah, it sort of disrupts the like plaque and little morsels of food out of your teeth.
But also like those other electric toothbrushes.
That's exactly right. And if you go to tryquip.com/thumbs, you can get $10 off your first brush head refill on your Quip electric toothbrush. tryquip.com/thumbs. Well, that was a meaningless ad. This episode of Important If True is also brought to you by Warby Parker.
Oh, them.
Prescription, that's right, it's them.
All right, I gotta get my ad game on. I'm sorry,
Chris.
Get
your ad game on. Get your glasses on. At warbyparkertrial.com/thumbs, where you can get 5 frames of your choosing sent to your home to try on for 5 days for free, so you know exactly what you're going to look like when your sweet prescription version of those frames glasses comes back to your house, you're freaking out, Jake.
This ad, for some reason, seems like it has like 15% too many words. I can't tell what's going on.
Yeah, they always do because it's like 5 frames for 5 days for free. It's like I go into a weird flow state when I describe the warbyparkertrial.com/thumbs offer, which is also a lot of syllables.
Right, but no, you get those nice frames. You could try them on, see if you look good, or if you look less good, pick the most good ones.
Yeah, exactly. Pick
send
the one that makes
send
you
them
look
all
great.
back. Then the most good one comes back with prescription lenses inside the frames. Then you put them on your face.
It's Warby Parker, home of the most good one. They market themselves based on the most good ones. It's their you may know Warby Parker for that. I have become a nighttime glasses guy because
It's like you wear them when you're asleep only. So like if you wake up in the night, if you wake up in the night, you've crushed them. No, if there's like an intruder.
No, it's like when I get home, often I'll so my wife prefers how I look
so they're
in
like
glasses.
slippers.
Yeah,
They're like a
exactly.
robe for your
Exactly.
eyes.
They're like a robe for your eyes. warbyparkertrial.com/thumbs. Try on 5 robes for your eyes. Pick the best one robe and put your prescription in it. Warby Parker. Good Lord. warbyparkertrial.com/thumbs to try on 5 frames, prescription, eyeglasses, or sunglasses.
And now back to an episode that I assure you has a completely different tone than whatever these last 3 minutes were that we spent with you. It was probably 6 minutes. Hi!
Hey,
Oh.
we are back. We're back on this podcast.
Are we back? I've never fucked this up before.
We should get the actual real timer
Oh,
going
yeah.
again. This 314 is going to...
We can't start the timer again. It's.
Okay.
I was gonna say that like maybe we'd be caught in a loop where the timer keeps flipping to 314, but it's a digital timer. So for all I know, it's been doing that the entire time.
That's true.
Mm.
Okay. Nels writes, when I was 10 or 12, I made a quip about liking Hawaiian shirts. No idea why, maybe because of Dale from Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Little did I know, a floral printed Pandora's box had been opened. It began with my dad giving me one of his old Hawaiian shirts. Then I got one as a birthday gift from my mom. This information was transmitted to relatives, and then every birthday and Christmas I'd receive at least one Hawaiian shirt from a parent, extended family member, or family friend, all far too large for my gangly frame. This continued for a decade. Being an awkward middle and high school dork already wasn't doing me any style favors, and now I had a closet literally overflowing with the most garish and ill-fitting garments imaginable. And because my mother had battered me into a very southern sense of always needing to display gratitude, I couldn't bring myself not to wear them because that would be impolite. So the antithesis of cool was 100% me. I think generally adults have no idea what to buy kids as presents once the kid is too old for plush stuffed animals. Did you ever have your family get fixated on the idea that you really liked something, even if you were at best lukewarm on it, and proceeded to gift you that something in volumes that greatly outstripped your interest or desire? That's a very specific question. Remain peppery, Nels.
Nels.
P.S. Out of an intangible sense of obligation, I dragged these shirts with me from high school to college, then to grad school in Canada, and finally at a luau-themed party, I brought them along for everyone else to wear, if not properly adorned. At one point, I put on 2/3 of them at once. I'm not kidding about how monstrously oversized they were, and the photographic evidence is attached. At the end of this party, the shirts were donated to charity. The curse was finally lifted, or at least transferred to someone else. What were you, Jake? You were about to say something in a scolding fashion. It sounded like...
I was? Oh, about that peppery thing?
Oh, is that what you were
Oh,
reacting
that's
to?
all.
Yeah,
Just, I don't approve.
No. No one does.
I think that Chippendale Rescue Rangers, I think one of them is actually dressed like Magnum P.I. and the other one is dressed like another notable TV
Indiana
detective.
Jones.
Oh, yeah, Indiana Jones. It's Indiana Jones and Magnum P.I. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Both roles, one played by and one initially desired to be played by Tom Selleck, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
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 God, I had this exact same thing happen to me, kind of. I mean, my dad definitely gave me a Hawaiian shirt, and then I just remember year by year, like, Hawaiian shirts accumulating in my closet. I don't know why, or but I just know that I had like the
I wonder
5
if this is a common
Hawaiian shirts
phenomenon.
that I just never wore and kind of felt embarrassed by. And yeah,
People started giving my wife Dana owl-related stuff because she got something once, and then she's just leaned into it, and it's like, fine. That's just
that looks like such a specific thing you guys have in your apartment.
Oh, it's because people just inundated her with that shit for
Oh, I
years.
never
Then
knew
she just
that.
went, I guess I like this.
I thought that was. I thought. So when we visited your new
No.
apartment, and you were like setting it up, I thought that you had picked that as a theme.
No,
and
it's
just
literally
went deep.
because she is just buried in it because people just kept giving her stuff. Like, and then
Wow.
she's like, well, I mean, owls are cool, fine.
I mean, see, that's kind of cool. I would totally, as an adult, I would totally lean into that. I hate gift giving.
I mean, she did. Like,
I-
she eventually, like, if there's a shitty thrift
No, I
store
know.
painting of
I
an
mean,
owl,
I'm-
she'll just buy it now
No,
because it's funny.
Sure, whatever. I think that's fine. I mean, at least because the takeaway from that is now when other adults visit your apartment just looks way more like together and intentional than most people's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, because most of that stuff is pretty tasteful. Like, you don't have garish owl shit. Most of it is like little figurines or
Yeah,
things with
it's-
like an owl motif tastefully.
It's
in
not
the-
on purpose, but I mean, it is now, I guess.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks very together.
That was after years of separating the owl wheat from the owl chaff.
Right, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah,
But also, if you look in her closet, it's all huge Hawaiian shirts
yeah. With owls.
with
Yeah,
owls.
Yeah. I really hate gift giving. It is a hugely stressful experience for me. I never know what to, especially my family, to be honest. Like, I have no idea what to get my family, and especially now that I'm an adult and I don't, like, I would rather, I mean, if it were up to me, we would just dissolve the concept of gift-giving holidays entirely and never do it, and I wouldn't have to get any or give any.
I hate that I have to like think about what someone would really like and it will be really meaningful to them, says Chris Ramo.
I mean, I don't know how to, like, what the hell? I mean, I'm an adult anyway. Like, I can, if I really need something, it's possible for me to, like, no one in my family especially is going to buy me
Get it
something.
yourself.
I'm going to be like,
why do I have to give it to you?
Oh, good. I'm
Yeah.
really glad you got this for me. Like, that never happens. Is this seriously not an experience, you guys?
I sometimes have this problem, but I tend to think that the problem is with me and not with society's desire to show gratitude to people important to you.
Oh, it is so stressful. I find it to be debilitating. When it's Chris, it's like agonizing for weeks, and I go to the stupid mall, which is a place I never go in normal life, and I go to all the stupid little stores in it, and I'm like, this is impossible. It's to me every time. And I know that I'm not going to get something from any of them that's like,
I feel the anxiety about it, but I love the experience of giving people gifts so much that
Yeah.
I can't entirely relate to this. I have to
yeah,
say.
no, that's good.
My problem is that I'm a big piece of shit who just doesn't follow through on it. But like when I do,
What do you
I'm
mean by that?
like I don't give enough gifts.
Oh.
I just sometimes don't give someone in my family a gift because I've forgotten to do it in time.
Yeah.
But when I do it, I'm always very proud, and the feeling of giving a gift to someone makes me feel so good
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I can't second
See-
your proposal for throwing gift-giving holidays in the trash.
No, I totally I love that in theory. I totally get what you mean.
Oh, no, I don't
think-
like it in theory. In theory, I hate it, but I in practice, when I actually do it, I like it.
No, that's
Yeah.
fair. I think the thing that is so limiting to me. Okay, so here's an example of how this also debilitates me. Greeting cards. I
gave up on that.
Greeting cards are a big piece of shit. Greeting
Yeah,
cards are
yeah.
separate and are a big piece of shit. A blank greeting card that you can just say "Happy Birthday" and your name is the best find in a greeting card
you can't
store.
fucking find them anywhere anymore.
It's so
becoming
hard. You have to go to like a
increasingly hard.
boutique-y
Yeah,
gift
exactly. You
store.
have to go to some frou-frou greeting card store where you pay $8 for someone's letterpress greeting card. If you go to just a convenience store, if you go to the CVS or
There's
the
often
Walgreens or
one
something,
blank card in the corner that's a big piece of shit, but I still always buy it over
yeah,
the
that's
ones
the
that
only
are.
one I buy. I can't deal with
What
these
I've
cards that have some fucking
So-
shit in it that's like, you're my favorite person, and I'm like, that's a lot to. That's a big sentiment to put on a thing.
I
that
will
I'm gonna
admit
give to
that
someone
I
else.
bought a pack of white construction paper for the sole purpose of
the gluing
of razor cutting out white paper and taping over the bullshit inside of greeting
Really?
cards. Yeah, because
I
I
could
hate
never-
it.
I
Because I
could never
hate
do
it
that.
so fucking much. But I also really like just writing something nice in a card and giving it to someone.
I could never risk
That's what
the
I-
paper trail there.
Of what?
Well, someone would.
Who cares?
It's still there. I'm still giving them the words that are in.
Who cares? It's glued over.
I guess, yeah.
I think people will appreciate the
I mean,
sentiment.
and then on top of that, I put myself in this position where then I don't ever feel content to just write like "Merry Christmas" or "Happy Birthday" or whatever. I feel like I
Oh,
have
well,
to
let me
write
tell you the other
a
upside of this.
sentence,
Let me tell you the
and
other
then that's a
upside of
disaster too.
this technique that
What?
I'm endorsing
What?
here mid episode.
What?
is you get infinite practice runs because you can write it on the piece of paper before you cut it out and affix it into the card.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
this is bulletproof, Chris.
Yeah, the worst is when I think I have something, like I've figured it out in my head, and then I start writing, and then I realize like halfway through the sentence,
You're
like,
fucked. You fucking owned yourself.
I don't know. Either now I'm too self-conscious to write the thing I intended to write, or like I fucked it up in some way, and then I have to like do a midair,
Right.
fucking barrel roll and like twist into a different sentiment halfway through the sentence, and sometimes that gets pretty
greeting
tortured.
cards are a big
But
piece
I
of
spent
shit.
like $8 on this fancy ass card from the store, and I don't want to
Just spend $15 and get the card where you can record your own custom audio greeting, and then just the bullshit trash of the card means you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
The card, it just comes with so much shame built into it.
Yeah.
Or like a Family Guy quote that just plays on loop when you open the card or something.
Oh my
just
God.
like just
I
get
can't think of anything that would give me more like psychic trauma in advance than giving any member of my family a talking Family Guy.
Oh no!
greeting
Just
card.
then you put the construction paper overlay on top and just write "I love you, Chris" as the only text inside of the card. Well, it has
Thanks
like some
for being
Stewie
in my
Griffin.
Family Guy.
Oh,
Thanks for being my Family Guy.
guaranteed that is a card you can buy.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Oh, for sure.
Anyway, what?
I don't know. What is the question? It's about Hawaiian shirts or
I don't
something?
know.
Oh, how do you rid yourself of this curse? Oh, I don't know how to rid yourself of this. There's no actual way to do it because
I
of all of
think
the
the
all
way
of
to
the
rid yourself is to become an adult, I think.
It depends on the thing. Like when you're a Hawaiian shirt
Yeah,
kid.
yeah.
Also, this is like being the peanut butter jelly king or whatever, the ketchup king, which I guess is what
Oh, yeah.
where it started. But yeah, this is an impossible curse to rid yourself of because of everyone who has the same gift giving anxiety that you're talking about, Chris. If you learn like,
once you slot that in,
if you're like, this person loves Hawaiian shirts,
Yeah.
boom, instant, like it's you're just giving yourself. Or you're giving everyone else the easy out. You're giving them the lane that they can fall into and give you the thing. Like, so
Yep.
you're just fucked forever. Especially if it's a thing that has tasteful adult versions of like, oh, I'll just get an owl.
Right.
You could always go to any nice store and find an owl.
We in
anything.
fact got you guys owl stuff.
Yes.
Because we thought it was a thing you desired. It's amazing how.
But you guys got us nice, tasteful, good ones.
yeah,
but
yeah.
no, it's true. It just goes forever.
Yeah.
It just go. You cannot escape.
Actually, what this teaches me, both the Hawaiian shirt thing and the owl thing, what this teaches me is I need to figure out a way to cultivate, to plant the seeds of a thing that I actually do approve of that can then, spread within my family and friend circle, and then be essentially a safeguard or sort of like a nudge in the direction of something that I'm happy to be repeatly gifted in a sort of a theme year by year.
Just always show up with like sunglasses that have pictures of $100 bills on them, and a jacket made entirely of like just cash.
Yeah.
And be like, I just love cash. I just love getting lots of cash.
It's my thing.
It's my thing. Just
They
money
would just give you
and-
like a book about the president on the cat. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
however.
Yeah, no,
was
that's true. You
designed,
would not
you
receive
would
money.
completely be subverted.
You
Like,
would be
oh, he
given,
really
like-
likes Lincoln.
Oh,
Like,
here's a set of coasters that are just pictures of all of the engravings
Yeah.
of dollar bills.
Yeah.
Here's a
that's-
fabulous sheet of
a
uncut
painting of
dollar
Mount
bills.
Rushmore.
Right.
Or, you know,
Oh, it's already a thing.
Here's
It's
a coffee table book
oh my
about
God.
the history of
Yeah.
the mint.
That's already.
I
a
just
constant
remembered that
theme.
my parents and then all of her siblings, probably by way of her, were convinced that I had like a quarter collection of like all of, because there were the 50 state quarters, and it was like I got books about that and all of the collectors.
yeah.
Stuff. People would just send me quarters. I was like, I don't maintain it. I don't have this. So like I just had a Ziploc bag full of quarters that people had sent me that I eventually just spent in
You said they're
college.
the state
Yeah.
state ones. Yeah, that is one of the most brilliant marketing moves
Oh, yeah.
on the part of the U.S. Mint. That shit is unbelievable. I would love to see reporting or some kind of statistics on what percentage of Americans basically sort of softly considered themselves coin collectors for
Oh, God.
like some number of years ever since they
a
introduced
very large percentage.
Yeah, not like as a
Yeah.
serious, like intense hobby, but
Right.
I mean, I know so many people, including myself, who at least for some period of time got really into like, oh yeah, here's a Montana one. I don't have that one yet, and like,
Yeah, I
just
think I had the book where you could slot
Yeah.
them in.
Yeah. That. Oh my God, amazing Machiavellian move. Get people to just have money
Yeah.
and take like just take more money that we can mint. That isn't even that. Just have it. Anyway, my grandmother, basically the only gift she ever gave my brother and myself for her entire life. She's still alive. She's actually over 100 years old now, but she just doesn't send us stuff anymore, which is fair enough. She's incredibly old. But the only gift we ever got from her was every year, for each of our birthdays, she would send us one $2 bill.
Oh man, you talked about this on the podcast before. I think.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I remember my rejoinder story to receiving $2 bills,
which was what?
When I worked at Apple Computer briefly, I started there on a summer intern program in I guess 2000, and Steve Wozniak came and talked. And what he said that he used to do for a while when he was younger and an eccentric nerd who had money is he would buy the uncut sheets of $2 bills, which I guess still would be considered valid tender if they were cut to size, but he would get them.
Oh, that's right.
He would get them perforated and then put into a checkbook, like bound into a checkbook, and then he would go to retail stores and just perforate, just tear them off like checks.
That's so funny.
And people would be really upset by this, but he'd be like, "No, it's valid tender. It's an official $2 bill." Yeah, it was just the most shitty treatment he could possibly What is the weirdest currency, and then what is the most just stupid but still legal thing you could do to them? And it's to just get them punched into perforated books that you could then just piece off at retail stores.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's such an amazing stupid thing to do.
Yeah,
if you just have time and money at your disposal.
Yeah.
I guess I guess that in itself is not intrinsically expensive, except that you're paying a cost.
The time and effort required to
you're just paying money to make money that's
sheets.
less convenient to use than regular money.
Yeah,
just so you can be a weird eccentric man at a register.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
What's next?
We have an email from Andy who writes,
"Oh, Andy.
Hello, Thumbs. In high school, my twin brother took a lot of olives for lunch, only to later dump them in a flower pot. Does that mean one time or a lot of? Is that over the course of...
Chris, right. He dumped all of them.
Oh, fuck off.
What?
An older bully saw it and mistook me for him, and I got bullied for 2 years and given the nickname The Olive. Have you or someone close to you...
Wait, what's that Olive Boy or whatever? It's just The Olive.
Yeah, that's kind of
cool. That's a good nickname.
It sounds like
a mobster nickname or something.
Andy The Olive, your last name.
Yeah.
Here.
Tinker Tailor Soldier
Have
of
you
Olive.
or someone close to you ever done something accidentally or not that would change how people would see you for years? Love the show, Andy from Sweden. Andy the Olive from Sweden. Well, I think important if true listener Nels can definitely relate to this story.
Nels the Hawaiian Anderson. Nels the Hawaiian shirt, they call him.
Yeah.
Oh, I have approximately the dumbest answer for this.
Go for it.
It relates to Taco Bell, my favorite place. So it was 314, and I went to Taco Bell, franchise 314, which is the San Rafael Taco Bell in Marin County.
Not the Pacifica Taco Bell.
No, this is just a regular ass Taco Bell that I used to go to because it was near work.
Yep.
And one day I was coming home very late from work, and I went to the Taco Bell drive-thru instead of going home to make myself dinner like one does. Mm-hmm. And I guess the car in front of me was just like a weed explosion. It was just like smoke emitting from that car and then it drove away. And then the Taco Bell attendee came up and I pulled up. And he handed me my order, and he smelled all of that pot and thought that it was me, and he was like, "Nice, yeah, no," and he just kept just winking and nudging at me. As if I had been clearly just smoking hotboxing my car, and then just somehow hid it all except for the smell by the time the food picked up. But then I worked at a video game company and drove home past the Taco Bell often. So from then on for months, this guy who was the late night drive-thru guy would be like, he kept always winking and he was always just assuming that I was that guy who clearly got high all the time and then went to Taco Bell late at night, and the two of us shared a secret that I was some
you didn't do yourself any favors by continuing to do late night Taco Bell runs.
But I didn't do anything, and I had the reputation of this one drive-thru guy as a lascivious weed lord of the Taco Bell drive-thru. I have never smoked marijuana in my life.
I've only inhaled.
Why would I?
Through that other car.
Whatever. That's neither here nor there. I don't give a shit one way or the other about that, but I am the furthest one can get from that. But this guy's opinion of me was so... I did not... Why would I dissuade him from it?
Yeah.
Because it was the funniest shit to me that I would get like winked at and like... just have a bunch of like, various like vague weed intimations made by this Taco Bell drive-thru guy. So...
I think that the best... the pro move for all this stuff is to somehow seed a bunch of sort of unrelated but plausible implications about yourself to the widest possible variety of contacts you can, so that when you need to call in a favor, you've got your like mental Rolodex of like, I'm the combustion engine guy to this guy, I'm the weed lord to this cashier.
How do you cash that in? Taco Bell guy, I need someone to smirk like I smoke pot all the time. Like that guy's not gonna give me pot.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You gotta plant your.
It would have to be a situation where like you want to impress somebody because they think like you're cool because you're a weed guy.
Like, that guy's high all the time.
You need someone to vouch for you, so you take them in the drive-thru with you.
Like Howard and Kumar situation.
Yeah.
Howard and Kumar?
Oh, sorry.
It's Harold.
Harold and Kumar. Jesus Christ. Howard and Kumar.
Howard and Kumar.
Howard and Kevin.
Yeah, if you end up in your knockoff Howard and Kevin shitty adventure, you can call in a favor from the Taco Bell.
Yeah. Starring Sinbad.
Yeah, exactly.
As a Harold.
I could have sworn.
Or as a Howard, whatever. It's a Henry.
Should we do one more email?
Yeah.
Do we have time for that?
Of course. There's always time for one more email.
All right. Ashley writes, for the past 10 years, I've been under the impression Ray Liotta has his own brand of food products, such as salad dressings, pasta sauces, etc. I have firmly believed this to be true, despite never seeing the products in any store. I have told a handful of people over the last decade Ray Liotta is in the food business, and no one else seems to have heard about it. I began to wonder why I thought this was a fact. I forgot about the whole thing until I started listening to your podcast. It was the mentions of B-movie and product placement in television that jogged my memory.
When did we talk about B-movie?
I think it was months ago. I don't even remember what the context was.
Oh, right. The only movie about insects.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I rewatched B-movie today to get to the bottom of this pressing matter.
This is actually fantastic. Okay, sorry. Keep going.
Ray Liotta shows up in court with a jar of honey featuring his face. The scene is less than a minute long, but apparently it left such an impression on me, I truly believed he was a food entrepreneur extraordinaire. I now feel hoisted. I did some research, and in September of this year, Ray Liotta was cast as Colonel Harlan Sanders in the new KFC ads. He is endorsing a honey mustard sandwich. Coincidence? I think not. Could this have something to do with his 17-hour ghost, or does the dude really just like honey? Have you ever been convinced a fictional product was real and were left looking like a damn fool? Mildly embarrassed, Ashley.
It's weird that B-movie is the center of one of these stupid Mandela effect. It's like it's a nexus of that bullshit.
Yeah. B-movie seems to attract strange. It has some kind of like internet sympathetic energy field surrounding it. It seems to just pull in weird sort of idiocy and
because
behavior
it's like
and theories.
It has a Ray Liotta food thing that is like that's created a Mandela effect version of like the Paul Newman food brands. And then also Colonel Sanders is another one of those things that just weaves around because it's such a...
Yeah, we've also talked a lot about Colonel Sanders on this podcast.
Yeah. Because he sucks.
Wow.
I mean, whatever. Let's be honest.
I have no opinion about Colonel Sanders.
Well,
the real Colonel Sanders was like really ashamed of KFC. Did you know that?
That's too bad.
Yeah. Well, about the like once he sold it, and it became a huge franchise thing. He, I think, was very outspoken actually in saying this chicken tastes like trash. This has nothing to do with my sort of the chicken that I used to make. This is embarrassing. But he's still. I mean, it's really weird to think that he, an actual human being who existed physically on the planet,
is now played by food magnate Ray Liotta.
It's a strange fact of the way that kind of marketing and capitalism works, that guy who explicitly believed that company's products were garbage is just plastered all over every single one of their stores and is in fact like recreated by other human beings.
What if Ray Liotta starts playing Dave Thomas?
From Wendy's?
Yeah, and then his final act is to play Ronald McDonald.
He's insinuating himself into the...
Yeah.
What is his end game on this?
I don't know. Why does it matter?
Well, I mean...
some kind of like MCU universe probably, like, tied up into some kind of, mega property film that is...
The Ray Liotta-verse.
Yeah.
Foodfight. Like, wasn't there like a horrible animated film from years ago?
Foodfight.
Didn't it tie in a bunch of brands?
Yes.
Did it?
Foodfight.
Yeah.
Foodfight is amazing. I'll just keep saying Foodfight. Foodfight.
Jesus.
You okay, Jake?
Foodfight broke me. Foodfight wasn't... Oh, my God. I've said Foodfight too many times.
Oh, he's the Foodfight guy.
Foodfight. Oh, Ray Liotta. He funded Foodfight.
Okay. Get a hold of yourself.
Food Fight was someone's attempt at an answer to Toy Story when Toy Story was, I guess, like the first computer animated feature film, and there wasn't a huge industry around it. Someone said, "Oh, we can do that," and they got a bunch of brands to sign on to give their mascots likeness rights to this movie called Food Fight.
Yeah,
and they tried to spin up an animation studio to, I guess, compete with Pixar, but it's going to be about brands, not about toys. Like if they can get Lincoln Logs into whatever, Etch-a-Sketch, then we can get Mrs. Buttersworth and...
And they did. They got a ton.
Yeah, a ton of them.
You can watch the trailer for Food Fight.
You can watch most of Food Fight. It is vile.
You would not want to.
It is the least palatable, most just horrible looking computer animated... I guess it's a movie.
Yeah.
It just
No, it's
just hideous looking.
It really is, yeah.
Oh.
Everything about it is
it's off-putting. The concept of it is on its face crass and terrible.
Yeah.
And the result is just hideous looking. It's like when you see just like fake computer animated bloopers or like, this is my student reel, but it's clearly just like a hideous joke.
Yeah.
Where just like what does bad computer animation look like? It's that, but for a whole movie they made the movie. I don't know how, if it was released theatrically.
I think it was.
Ooh. Boo. Anyway, look up Food Fight, starring Ray Liotta as everyone.
Yep. I don't think we answered Ashley's question.
I don't think we answered any of these questions. These are all people who wrote in, trapped inside of these bubble universes where certain things appear to them to be true.
Yeah.
But I don't know what there's no.
But are they important? That's the question.
No,
they're not.
No,
Absolutely not.
The number 314 shows up all the time.
Yeah.
The universe claims I like Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
I believe to my core that Ray Liotta has a food manufacturing company.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. The world has dubbed me the Olive because of actions I did not even commit.
Yeah.
No. Everyone who wrote in this week is surrounded by some kind of like matrix that puts them in a universe that is just slightly off kilter in an incredibly specific and also incredibly meaningless way.
I mean,
or
it's incredibly meaningful.
Yeah.
And they've uncovered the true world.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
But have they all individually uncovered the true world?
Well, when Ray Liotta, dressed as Colonel Sanders, but also dressed as Chef Boyardee, turns around to reveal that he has the number 314 tattooed on his back in a Hawaiian shirt pattern, and then eats an olive.
Yeah.
And something else
He
happens.
holds out two olives.
He holds out two olives.
He says,
reflected.
The green or the
reflected in his $ sunglasses. It says one of these is a gift, the other is a curse.
Then you'll know.
Yeah. That you've died.
Yep. And that this podcast has come to a conclusion. Shall we endorse?
Let's do it.
All right. Jake, you want to kick us off?
I'm going to endorse something on Twitter. Now stick with me. I'm going to endorse an old Twitter bot that I like called Pentameter.
Is it still running?
It is. It actually, it was gone for a while, but it seems to have come back.
Okay.
Pentameter is a Twitter bot that finds two tweets that when paired together form a rhyming iambic couplet. So,
can you give an example of that?
I can.
So an iamb is a sort of poetic unit, I guess you'd call. I don't know enough about poetry to know that sort of terminology.
You learned about it when you learned about Shakespeare in English class.
It's a collection of two syllables that are unstressed and then stressed.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, now that I want to do this, I can't find an example of it, but. Today is an example. Today.
It's things that have the cadence. To me.
Yeah, that's iambic.
To me. Shakespeare.
It's iambic because it's unstressed followed by stressed, and it's pentameter because there's 5 of those.
Pentametron doesn't always get the meter right because it finds tweets that meet these, but like here's an example of the one and only Ms. Ferocious Guy. My brother really got the kitten high. Those are 2 tweets that are unrelated.
Wait, say the whole thing together again.
My brother really got the kitten high. The one and only Ms. Ferocious Guy.
That's good.
Yeah.
What a clever bot. What a clever idea for a Twitter bot. So it collects 2 unrelated tweets?
2 unrelated tweets.
Yeah, okay.
Want extra money for the holidays? I want to buy perfumes and body sprays.
Nice.
Yeah.
I need some advice about what to get people.
Mm-hmm.
Spread love today, tomorrow, every day. Oh yeah, Mariah Carey on her way.
Nice.
There you go. So this is it's a good Twitter bot. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
My most proud moment as a member of the Idle Thumbs network was when what was it? There was a line from Space Asshole, a song from the Idle Thumbs podcast that ended up in Pentametron.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't remember
it was
that
like
at all.
Space Asshole spreading charges left and right or something like that showed up.
Yeah, nice.
It was a line from a song from our video game podcast showed up in Pentametron years ago, and I was so happy.
Nice.
Yeah, I used to occasionally plant
iambic lines?
one half of I used
Did you ever get picked up?
No, I never
bummer.
did.
Yeah.
I always tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good endorsement.
I hope Pentametron will find this tweet was one that Darius Kazumi tweeted a lot in hopes that it would get grabbed and it never did.
Never did. Oh, wow. That's a good one. Nick, you want to endorse something?
Sure. I was originally going to endorse like a really frivolous cooking thing, which is that if you have never used a squeeze bottle for like your oils, it's the best way to squeeze. Yeah, man, you got to buy some cheap squeeze bottles, just like the kind
plastic squeeze bottles.
Plastic squeeze bottles, and put your like olive oil in there. It's so much easier than actually just using massive olive oil.
Do what
bottle
every restaurant does.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
However, after all of the talk of gift giving, it reminded me of one of the better gifts I've ever given, which was when I was growing up. We lived in Michigan, and Michigan is known for lakes.
Students designing combustion engines.
Yes, engines, lakes, and lakes give you lake fish at your supermarket, and you just grow up eating lake fish all the time.
What are examples of lake?
Perch, for instance, which is a really delicious white fish that is now incredibly expensive because the lakes have been destroyed. Anyway, on a better note, you can still buy lake perch if you live in Michigan, but you're not going to ever get it anywhere else because there just isn't enough supply. So my parents moved out of Michigan 5-6 years ago, and so they can't have lake perch anymore. And it was like a cultural thing of just like, oh man, like at least once a week you would have perch.
Yeah.
And they really miss it. And so I looked up this place that basically just catches lake perch, freezes it immediately, and then we'll just ship it to restaurants in bulk.
Huh.
And I bought my parents like a 5-pound or 10-pound box of just lake perch, and it just destroyed them completely because it is something they haven't tasted in years that they just grew up with and had for their entire lives.
Right,
and
then
have
it's
gone
cut
without
off.
it.
Yeah.
And they just fucking loved it. And so I would say, like, as a recommendation for the holidays, if there's something that somebody misses, maybe that is like an easy.
But if in doubt, send them a frozen lake perch.
Yeah, send them a frozen fish.
block of pounds of lake fish. Yeah.
Anyway, that's my endorsement.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about gift giving.
I really miss having a squeeze bottle for like oil.
I am going to also endorse food-related things. Nick, this is sort of connected to you a little bit. I remember when we used to live together years ago, and I remember you would always talk about roast chicken, like roasting a chicken as just a thing you loved in the kitchen and just a delicious meal. And
great.
I remember, it's not that I didn't believe that is a good thing to do. Obviously, roast chicken is good, but it always seemed like like overly complicated. I would just buy just packaged chicken thighs or breasts or whatever from the store and just use those and just saute them in a pan or whatever, just the easiest possible route to cooked chicken. And I just remember not just thinking like, oh yeah, that's probably cool, but it just seems like a pain in the ass. I don't really care. And then this year, Sarah and I went to Paris for just a few days, but we went to we went to a bunch of different like bistros and stuff. We just stopped in. And one of the things in that city, and I would assume elsewhere in France, is you can always, everywhere just serves an amazing roast chicken. That's just a staple item that is just always on the menu and just delicious and perfect and so simple. And I realized this year, you know what, I really should do what Nick always said and learn how to do this. And I've gotten really into roasting chickens this year. Yeah, and I went from never having... So last year, it was a combination of that experience and then also last year making my first ever Thanksgiving dinner. It was the first year that I hadn't gone home for Thanksgiving, and so I roasted a turkey, and that was the first time I'd roasted any whole bird. And so I've just gotten really into that this year, and it is just the most cost-effective way to make chicken because you can also use the leftover carcass to make stock. You get all the meat from the chicken. It's much cheaper than buying, the cost per pound is much cheaper than buying the pieces. Yep. And also it is just one of those perfect meals. I mean, you're totally right. It is something that requires almost no ingredients. You really just need salt and pepper and actually baking powder to do it the way I've been doing it, which I will mention. And
gotta crisp it up.
Crisp it up, yeah. And even just that with any side is delicious. I will sub-endorse a few things that have been useful to me. One is the spatchcock method of butterflying the chicken to sort of flatten it out and make it cook more evenly throughout so you don't get certain parts overcooked and certain parts undercooked. A good meat thermometer, especially when you're still feeling this out. Yeah, Thermapen is what I use, so that you can make sure that you're not overcooking it at all or undercooking it, I guess. And the source that I used to learn how to spatchcock the bird, which I also used for my Thanksgiving turkey, is Detailed on Serious Eats by J. Kenji Lopez-Alt, who's a great food writer, and I will link to that. I will link to the Thermapen, and I will link to the Serious Eats article about actually roasting the bird once you have butterflied it. And it has just been a hugely additive to my food life recently. So thank you for planting that seed years ago, Nick.
I'm glad that seed was planted and then it grew
into a chicken. Yep.
Gross.
Yeah. And on that, that's our podcast. That is Important If True for this week. If you like this podcast, please tell a friend, tell people on social media, spread the word however you can. It is really the only way we have to spread the word about the podcast. And if you do like it, please consider rating us and reviewing us on iTunes. That is another great way to hopefully make it more likely other people will see this. If you have any questions, if you need our advice, if you have a problem that needs solving, obviously we are the best people to ask. So send that in to questions@importantiftrue.com and we will do our best. You can follow us on Twitter @ImportantCast or on Facebook if you search for Important If True. And our website is importantiftrue.com where you can find all this information and more. On that, we will be back next week. For Idle Thumbs, I am Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
When you're making your chicken, make sure that it stays well seasoned.
Fuck, jeez. Oh. .16th, I guess, is what it is.
16th, I guess, is what it is. That was Iambic. True. I can't not notice that whenever it happens.
16th, I guess, is what it is.
Yeah. It's not pentameter, but it's
Yeah, I
Iambic.
guess it's missing 2 syllables.
Yeah.
Pentametron is one of the best Twitter bots of all time.
Maybe you should endorse it.
Maybe. Oh, I will now. Did it. Gonna endorse it.
I notice in this conspicuous absence.
Oh yeah, I never have anything ready. I don't want people to know about what I like.
That's fine.